Ladies, gentlemen, boys, germs, and anyone else still watching, welcome back to Charting Adventures, a podcast discussing how to level up your TTRPG questing experiences. My name is still Kyber, and I'm still crazy.
And I'm still Zari, and I guess I'm still crazy. Aren't we all? A little bit. But this podcast is brought to you by the storytellers at Muse's Mythos, your compass for creating unforgettable tabletop journeys.
And I'm still trying to have fun with this at my own expense. The main thing we're going to be discussing today's adventure, now that we've discussed how you as a DM need to provide information, now what do you as a player need to take from that and give back? This is now step 2. This is the last step before you actually put pen to paper and fill in a character sheet. We're not necessarily going to focus too much on the mechanics of filling in a character sheet this episode. We have some ideas about that we'll get to at the end, but today is mainly going, okay, now that you've received the information from the DM, what do you give back? What is your responsibility as a player?
Correct. And a little bit of a note, we are coming from it. We play mainly D&D 5e. We're prefacing a lot of things in terms of any TTRPG and like what you should do to create a character for any campaign. However, when we actually get to some mechanic stuff, we are going to break it down in 5e. But then also we are going to have fun and explore a new TTRPG and build a character in that as well. So to be determined. Tell us what your favorite one is and what you like creating characters are.
I mean, I did just get a box with a whole new
Ooh.
TTRPG in it.
Oh, maybe we'll
People
do
might be
that
showing.
one. Sure, if you want to pull it out.
So, those of you who are also... Oh, there goes the rest of my books. Those of you who are also book people might recognize this logo. This is the Cosmere RPG, which just released from Brotherwise Games. And I have barely opened this book, which you can kind of not see thanks to Discord being jank. But it's a handbook called the Stormlight Handbook. It is a entire TTRPG based on the books by Brandon Sanderson, the Stormlight Archive.
Which would be very fun because I have not personally read those books. Surprising, shocking, I know. So it would be interesting to come to it from a perspective of, don't be surprised, you know this.
Zeth, son Volano, truthless of Shinobar, wore white on the day he was to kill a king.
To come from...
Let me play it up for the camera, damn it.
Like, you've been trying to get me to read the books for years. But it would be fun to come to it from perspective, so I think we'll maybe do that one. It'll be really fun. Anyway, that being said, today we are talking about conceptual. This is kind of the sequel to our last episode, which was talking about what you as a DM give your character, or give your player characters. So we are coming from the aspect that you as a player have sat down with your DM. You've had a conversation about RPG consent forms, about the table rules here, about getting to know each other personally. You know what the campaign vibe is, and you know what the world is. So whether it's like classic raw for whatever TTRPG you're playing, or it's a homebrew thing, you know the world, you know what things have changed, etc. So you've gotten your list of like, hey, this is what level you're supposed to be, this is how we're getting stats, etc., etc. Follow these steps. But before you can make a character sheet, you need to have an idea. Some of you may have had an idea from before you got in the campaign. Like, I know that some people are like, I've built these characters and I'm trying to find a campaign because I want to play this character so badly, which I love and I'm so excited. Other people are like, I just want to play D&D or a TTRPG. I'm going to go find a campaign. And they have no clue and they like to fill in for like what the group needs. They're the last group filler. So we're talking about the concept here. We're not talking about like sure, you may know I want to play a rogue, I want to play a paladin, I want to play some other thing like that, or you might have a vibe in your head, but how do you adapt that to fit in the world that the DM has given you? And the campaign idea that the DM has given you. So let's take a brief moment and talk about, last session I talked a little bit about how I as a DM like to give my campaign AO3 tags. I like to be like hashtag heist, or we're exploring a classic adventure, or like my current one we're doing is all about giants and like lore, and it's a little dark and we're exploring a lot of different things. But you've gotten that from your DM. Now the question is like, do you want to fit into that? Do you want to match it? Do you want to juxtapose it? How do you want to do things, and where do you want to come from it?
All of which are wonderful questions. Unfortunately, I dropped my dice and it broke.
Oh
Canadian
no!
rules.
Oh no!
But I fixed it.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, I was a little worried there. I would have been so sad for you. While we're in this distracting moment, I'm going to clean off my camera because it was getting blurry. Okay, there we go. Much better.
But anyway, easily distracted aside. Look, here's the thing. You will usually come to a table with a DM. I usually advise, this is what I do at least. I will have a group chat message, kind of similar to what Zari has posted to her character creation rules and things like that, kind of going over the core outlines. But then I try to sit down with my players individually for their own session zeros to go, okay, if they wrote something, I usually have them bring it. If they haven't written anything yet, it is what it is, and we just kind of work backwards. It's just a matter of, can you make a character that you would be excited to play?
And to play this
'Cause-
story specifically.
Yes.
So, if this story explores themes of religion, what do you want to play? If this world has no religion, what do you want to play? If this world is all about heisting and stealing and like you're part of a thieves guild, what do you want to play? So, making sure that you are having something that's going to play well as that you're going to have fun with.
Yes, and by the way, playing well doesn't mean you play to the world's strengths. Juxtaposition is a wonderful thing. If you're playing a heist world and you're playing an oath paladin, where your oath involves telling the truth, have fun answering questions in the most misleading ways possible without technically telling a lie. There's entertainment in stuff like that. It's okay. Just make sure you've talked to the DM first.
Yes. And that they've kind of improved. Well, no matter what, the DM should be approving your character concept and working with you on that. But like, I think you even said in one of our earlier sessions, like in a really grimy, dark world, playing a Powderpuff Girl. And like those things are fun. But also it's really fun. Like, this is a heist. It is my chance to play edgy McEdgelord who has to work together with these people, right? And like you don't want to play that usually, but when you're in a heist, it makes sense. You're all in a thieves guild together, you're working together. Like, you can't go through a heist if you don't have all of the roles, etc. So, like, working on that and kind of adjusting to what campaign you're playing is really important. But also it's really fun to like find a campaign for that character that you've been thinking about in your head for years and years.
So, for those of you who recently watched the last episode, I don't know, it may have been a little time for you since you watched the last one. I had described playing a character that was a sorcerer, a warlock, and a paladin all in one. When I went to the DM as a player and said, hey, I want to play this, his honest to God first reaction was, why do you hate me? Because he knew mechanically what that character was capable of. But then I said, no, hear me out. I'm going to play him as a pacifist. And I'm going to take all of these buff spells, and I'm going to specifically be focused on aiding my allies more than doing any damage. My only goal will be to protect the party and heal the party. And he stopped and he looked at it and he went, oh, that would be fun. I can see why that character would be entertaining. There's again, dramatic irony and all that, right? But going back to the example of playing a Powderpuff Girl in a grimy, gritty world, the lore behind that is what makes that interesting. Why did you decide to make yourself this way when the world around you is like this? Talk about how it's a coping mechanism for a very dark backstory from a very dark world. These are ways where you can take these out of position characters, for lack of a better term, characters that don't fit in to the lore, and make it a response to the world itself where it meshes even further. It's not just about standing out for the sake of standing out. How do you make a character that on the shallow end is fun, but on the deep end is still just as fun, if not more?
Mm-hmm.
That's the challenge for you, the player, which is a lot.
The
So
the other fun thing is you're talking about coming to the DM and saying, I'm gonna play this very min-maxy character. But I'm going to give it like this debuff. The other thing is knowing when and where to do that. So sometimes I have been a forever DM, and I've gotten to witness, and I'm a DM who's very, I'd say one of my gifts is balancing combat. And so I've always been the queen of bring whatever character you want. I'm giving you a ton of magic items. I'm giving you a whole bunch of different things. We're going to break the encounter balancer because I like throwing fun things at you, and either you breeze through it or it's horrible and you die. Now, that being said, I've never done a full party wipe, don't worry. But my point being, sometimes as a forever DM, I have not gotten that opportunity to bring a min-maxy character. And so when I've gotten the chance to play a character that like packed a punch, I went to my DM and I went, hey, you've mentioned that there's a lot of combat in this world. Is it okay if I bring a character that's going to pack a punch? Because I've not gotten to do that, and that would be really fun for me. Let's talk about what your rules are and what, like, how I as a character cannot break your game. And if things are breaking your game, I'm letting you know now that we can pull it back and we can infiltrate, like, put it in the story. Like, maybe I lose some aspect of my magic so that I can't cast these spells anymore, and it breaks into me, and then I have a full character moment around it. So don't be afraid to talk to your DM, but just recognize that you are not the main character, and therefore you want to make sure it's fun for everybody. And if you are fully wiping all the baddies every single time and nobody else gets to have any fun in combat, then that's not fun for everybody. And same thing, if you are the one who's always leading all of the conversations and you're butting in because you're the party face, that's not fun for everybody. So making sure that you're building a character that's going to be fun for you to play long term, as well as what kind of character can you bring that, and it's okay if your party already has a face and you want to play a charisma character, that's fine. But like, I'm talking about like mentally preparing, because you're excited, but you are not the main character.
I would say it a little differently. You are not the only main character.
Ooh.
Everyone at the table is a main character or a protagonist of this story.
I love that.
Your role is not to be the most protagonisty protag. That's not the point of the game. The point of it is, despite the fact that you were chosen as a team, how do you support each other? It's a group exercise. There will be some skills your character is designed to be good at. When I was playing my cleric, I had a very high wisdom score, so I was insanely good at perception. That is a skill that I put stat points into. I took a level up to get expertise in. Like, I, on purpose, had insanely good perception because that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a perceptive character. But that doesn't just apply to physical perception. That also applies to things like insight, being able to talk to people. My character had a bit of a business guy background, so he knew how to talk to people. That doesn't mean he was always emotionally intelligent. He had to have flaws. Flaws are what makes a character interesting. But a lot of, partially because of how well I had made this character, predominantly on accident, if I'm completely transparent, I did not mean to make a character this balanced. It just kind of stumbled into it. I, on purpose, took permanent disadvantage to all acrobatics checks as a meme in character creation, and it never came up, which is sad because I wanted to play into that more.
Oh.
Um, but there's a level of being able to go to your DM and saying, "Hey, look, I made this character and it turned out way more powerful than I wanted. How do we either raise the level of everyone else to match, or how do we nerf my character to kind of come back closer to the rest of the party?" And the answer was a bit of both in my situation. Um, my character was a cleric of the Forge, and rules is written at level 1, my character is supposed to get a +1 weapon. Um, that didn't exactly jive with the world rules, nor did it jive with the rest of the party at level 1 being able to keep up with me damage wise. So we just nipped that altogether. And if you're not willing to play these kind of play it by ear games with your DM, you're not going to have as good of a time. Partially because you're going to end up in this space where you're either massively underpowered and not having fun, or you're going to end up in this space where you're looking around feeling like you're the only one actually playing at the table because no one else tries to do anything because they count on you to do anything, which is also not fun in its own way. No one wants to be in either role, the do it all or the do nothing. So
Yeah.
you got to communicate. You got to talk to people. You got to go, "Hey, what do you want to be?" So I can make sure to not be better at that than you, so I can focus my efforts and my level ups elsewhere. Because I had a character that I was playing with in a completely unrelated campaign that was like, "Man, I want to embody the concept of an elven sniper. I want to be the best archer there was ever to arch." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird phrasing, but okay." Um, I, on purpose, then chose to be a spellcaster, not because I was like trying to compete on range damage dealing. The opposite. I wanted to grant things like Farstrider and haste, and then, do support or AoE damage, things that this archer was just not going to be bothering to focus on. So, if you are a fill type player, you have to fill. You don't get to come into this picking if you want to be a fill player. If you want to be a picker, pick.
Mm-hmm. I was
Have a
gonna
character construct.
argue the opposite. So like I agree. I think that if
Mhm.
you're a fill type player, absolutely do that. And I as a person do that sometimes. But then there's sometimes that I hear the story or I have an idea in my head and I really want to do that. And this isn't a who gets to it first. The other thing that I want to argue is that if you have something in your brain and you want to make it happen, make it happen. You can have multiple characters that are good at things and you can have holes in a group. That is okay. However, the DM just needs to know ahead of time. And so what happens is like I've played characters where there's other charisma characters and everybody's charisma, and then you're just a bunch of like really fun, smarmy groups that like make friends throughout. And so your play style throughout the thing is going to be different. But maybe you have holes, but that just means that how you approach different things are going to be different. So, yes, fill in if you're a fill in player, but also at the same time, it's fun to play a stacked group in one way. So be okay with somebody playing a similar character, but focus on the things that set yourself apart. So you can play a bard in multiple different ways. You can play a barbarian in multiple different ways. The one time I played a barbarian, her rage was not anger. It was a channeling of the people behind her, type thing. Or like I played a bard that is a classic bard in the music sense, but she honestly, I think she's demisexual. She loves romance for the writing of the romance, but she has not even kissed somebody once. The one time they sent her on like a hey go flirt with this guy, she was trying so hard and she was and then he's like, "I'm gay," and she's like, "Oh my god, thank god." So like you can play characters that break your stereotypes and you can have multiple different types of classes in the same group, and that is okay. If you have what you want to play in your head, chances are it's in your head. You know their backstory. You know their pros and their cons. You know what they're good at, what their flaws are. And that's going to differ. And if it doesn't and it's bugging you, consider writing yourself out and bringing in a new character. Because chances are it's not bugging the other person. So just like keep that in mind as you're building characters. There's a couple different ways to approach it. Either the fill in or the I have a character concept I'm very excited to play in this world.
Mm-hmm.
The other note that we had, which I think we kind of briefly touched on, was you have a really fun idea for a character. You bring it in. The DM says, I don't know how that's going to fit into the world. You have a choice. And the choice is either I choose to either play that character with the caveats that the DM has given me, or I play something else because that'll be more fun.
So there's a level of there's stages to this, and I apologize because they're going to sound vaguely like the stages of grief, and that's not my intent here.
No,
but here
I
we
love
are.
it. We stand an allegory.
So first things first, when you first come to your DM with this idea that you're excited about, you are allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to go, that's unfortunate. Don't kick, scream, and fight. Don't be a weirdo about it.
I'm gonna get real weird with it.
But you are entitled to go, well, that sucks. That's not an unreasonable reaction. I know not everyone's comfortable being told no, but I do want to be clear. You are allowed to be disappointed. Just don't be weird about it, kicking and screaming and literally throwing a tantrum. First things first, if the DM says to you verbatim, I don't know how that's going to fit into the world, give them your idea of how it would. You can say, hey, based on this document you gave me of how the world is, here was my concept of how I was going to fit this mechanical character into the world. What do you think? You have now made an argument for how you think it could fit. From there, the DM can say, I see what happened. You misinterpreted this piece here. This is more what I was intending. And then you get to go.
Or the DM goes, oh, I misinterpreted what you were thinking. That totally fits. So either way, but there's a communication aspect that happens there. Continue.
Your ability to go, hey, here was my thought process. And the DM then getting to go, now that I see your full thought process, I understand what you were saying. I misunderstood it before. Or they get to say, hey, here's the part you misunderstood from the document. How can we tweak this detail? And then from there, it's a negotiation. Either you stick to the same character with the new tweaks that you have mutually discussed, or you go, I think this tweak fundamentally underrides what I was trying to do with this character. Why don't I try this other idea that I came up with while we were talking about this? I don't know if I can talk about that one yet. Off the top of my head, when I played D&D for the very first time, literally the very first time, I had never played D&D before. My only exposure to a lot of it was through other mediums, the TV show from way back in the day, and then, references here or there. I wasn't even familiar with Critical Role before I played D&D, even though it was insanely popular at the time. I decided I wanted to play a monk because at the time I was playing a lot of Diablo 3 and I played a monk in Diablo 3 and I was like, oh, cool, punchy boy, this will be fun. And so I had talked to my DM about the concept of, the healing aura thing where I can use my key points to heal others. And he was like, ooh, I like that mechanically, but you will not have enough key for that. So we're going to have to bend some rules around. There are times when you present an idea to a DM that's not rules as written that they will love so much they will find a way to implement with you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's okay to throw off the wall ideas. Just understand that when you're throwing an off the wall idea, the risk is you'll be told no. That's not the end of the world. It's okay.
I actually, as a DM, I love playing with new players who have like no concept or just little concepts, because I think stuff like that is really fun. Like, please tell me what you want to do, and either I'll tell you how it fits in here and you can go over it and go, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, or we can go and then like, or we can go, okay, that was close, not quite. And I go, okay, well, let's tweak it mechanically. So your DM's job is to adjust mechanically. If you are a DM or somebody who has homebrewed and is really comfortable doing that, and you come to a DM who is comfortable with that, mind you, some newer DMs are not, but you should know all of that because you've gotten to know each other personally. You know the table rules. You know the rules of consent. So, like, those things are already done. Like, if Kyber was DMing a campaign and I came to him and said, hey, I have a really fun idea for a character, but a lot of it centers around us homebrewing a spell or homebrewing a feat that I have. I'm willing...
You have my attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on.
Exactly. And then I give the ideas, we go back and forth, we balance it. We say, okay, yes, you can have that, but you have to sacrifice this. Or, yes, you can have that, here's how it could be broken, let's maybe come up with a flaw for it. Or, let's change it. And then we come up with something together. So those options are always there. Not all DMs will be open to that. So know your DM, know your group, and just like be okay with not being the most powerful person in the room. And also be okay with it not going exactly how you think it will. Because this is, at its fundamental core, a collaborative role-playing game. Collaborative storytelling. So, you're not the main character. What you're trying... Everybody's the main character. I loved that, by the way. Everybody's the main character. You're not the main character. And you are all trying to work together. So come at it with a collaborative mindset, going, how can we as a group, how can I fit into this campaign or not fit into this campaign and juxtapose it in a really fun way? And what can I provide my DM to work with?
Yes. Yes, and that is the most powerful tool you will be granted as a player, is yes and. For better and for worse, you are not the end-all be-all when it comes to decision-making as a player. Rule 0 of D&D is that the DM always gets final say. Now, there are times to push back. There are times to say, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. Last time we had this situation, you ruled it the opposite way. Are we changing rulings going forward? Or is this just something you had forgotten? It is okay to step in and go, hey, look, based on what you said last time, which was this is what I was understanding was correct. Did I misunderstand something? That gives your human DM the ability to say, I, a human being, made a human mistake. My apologies. You are correct.
Or I, the storyteller, am making a choice for this scene. And it's a one-time thing. And, well, if you need me to mechanically argue it, I can mechanically argue it. But either way.
The importance is the consistency of communication. If it's an exception to a known rule for the sake of storytelling, let it go. If it is a fundamentally rewriting of a previously understood rule, you need to know that, so ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
It is better to be unsure and ask than it is to be a jerk and assume.
Circling back around to just our theme today, character creation as a whole. We've talked a little bit about like the things that you should have before, what you should be presented with, what you should know before you ultimately nail down or begin to nail down your character. So something to just consider, and kind of like wrapping up our whole theme, was be flexible. Like, if you come in with something in mind and your DM, you go through all the table rules, your DM gives you concepts and you go, that's not going to fit, but I really like these people. You can either choose to go find a different group where you can play that character, or put that character in your back pocket, maybe ask your DM or another player in the group who wants to DM, like, hey, I want a world for this character. Like, you know, you're making friends, and then play something else. But be flexible, and make sure that you're ultimately there to collaborate and to have a good time as a group.
Yes. All of that, yes. The only other thing I would put in there, and this is kind of my last final thought here, you as a player are there to support the other players and the DM in having fun. You're not necessarily building the sandbox, but you're making things happen within it. Your decisions should have weight. So that means you, as a decision person, need to actually collaboratively decide things. So you need to throw your 2 cents in. You need to communicate with people at your table. That's the point. Flexibility is the basis, but you need to try.
And also, the other way, if your group is not being flexible with you and you're noticing a lot of stuff and it's not working well, even though the table rules say so and the rules of consent say so, then maybe it's time to find a different group. So it's better to know ahead of time than to get into it for multiple sessions and not be listening to your gut. So all that to be said, like, if they're not collaborating with you, and check yourself a little bit, go, am I being realistic or am I not being realistic, right? Like if it's one of those, I want to play the super powerful warrior with a legendary weapon at level 1, no. But if it's like, I want to play this character that's in the rules that you said was okay, but now you're not saying is okay, and the players are all being mean to me about playing a cleric when there's already another cleric, even though our clerics are different energies, like that's a different story. So just keep a note, pay attention, communicate, collaborate, listen to yourself. And the main goal is to always have fun. And so if you're not having fun, then either work it out or step away. Those are our options. Yep. I think that's what we have for today. So reminder, next time we're going to be actually building a D&D 5e character. I think we'll probably do 2 separate episodes. So we'll build a character together. I'm going to tell you it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler for my Rise of the Ordning campaign. So if you want spoilers, come hang out for that. And also just see how to build a character, our version of it. And then we're going to be building a character in a different TTRPG setting. So come stay tuned for those 2 episodes of the podcast. It'll be very fun. But thank you again so much for hanging out today. Reminder, if you want some D&D campaign content, make sure to go check out Rise of the Ordning, which is our full-time campaign, as well as follow us on our other socials. We have a TikTok and Instagram. There's a Discord link somewhere if you want to come chat in my group Discord as well. And if you want to play, head on over to Muse's Mythos. I have a bunch of mini campaigns and one-shots, which make great gifts for your D&D group if you want your whole group to play together for a one-shot. Just a note, as we're coming up on the holiday season. As I said, links below to all of our socials are down in the description.
And as always, if you have any additional thoughts or questions you want to see us talk about, drop a comment. We're happy to go over it, especially if we're going to be collecting a few comments, try to make a full form episode responding. Beyond that, like we did, I think last week, with responding to a comment as we see it, as it's relevant to one of our videos. We'll try to bring them up as we go. But leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest news.
Until next time, keep your compasses true.
Bye-bye.